26th of December, Stephen's Day or Boxing Day in England 2021, and you're welcome back to Real True Education, not fake news. We're not saying whether the Apollo missions were hoaxes or whether they all happened. What I am inclined to say is it didn't exactly happen as it was shown to us. But there are a few questions more I just want to finish with. This is 41F moon questions. Now, the way it worked was something like this. You had a Saturn V, which was a massive big rocket like this, massive big rocket, and it pushed all up. When it got up a bit, it then severed, like from what was ahead. It was discarded. It just fell away, the bottom of the Saturn V. And then there was another booster stage that got it on up. And when they got going, it went on then supposedly to the moon. Flew on to the moon, and it went round the moon in a figure eight. Now, when it got to round the moon, when they decided to land on each of the 6 missions, they undocked, leaving this part going round the moon and this part to land. And this part then came down and landed on the moon like that. And then when they were taken off, this part here, see, this part here, flew up and left the lander on the moon, which is supposedly there yet. This unit then docked with the orbiter, the lunar orbiter, and then it flew back to Earth. And when it came back to Earth, they had another end on it here they got into, and that undocked, and this here came down through with a heat shield on it, came down through space and landed in the ocean and was picked up. It had what do you call them, parachutes on it. Okay, so that's broadly the way it worked. No doubt there'll be plenty of people get very high about this and they're going to criticise about it. Now, one of the things that brings into, if they didn't go up, how did the signals get up and down to the moon, or how would the Russians not spot that the signals were not coming from the moon at all, that they were coming from low Earth orbit? And that's a very good question. Could they have sent one of the stages of this up to the moon, and where would they put the astronauts while that was happening? Not easy to figure. Now, they could have went up on a previous mission, had sent up an orbiter earlier that might have been used for sending signals back. That's only guesswork. The other question is, would the Russians be worried? Would they care? And if they did notice it was fake, what were they going to do about it? I mean, their job was to win the Cold War and survive. Although the United States wanted to show they were superior, a lot of this involved ballistic missiles and everything like that. At the same time, the question is, how would they fake it? And I have to say that's on the side of NASA. The other question is that lack of blast. The lunar lander, that was this part, was 3 ton weight before you put the astronauts in it. That's 3,500 kilos almost with the astronauts, and it's 1/6 of the lunar, 1/6 of the lunar lander. Lunar or gravity is equal to Earth. So if this was over 3,000 pounds weight, sorry, that wouldn't be 3,000. No, 3,000 kilograms weight, 3,500 kilograms weight. 1/6 of that would be about a little over half a ton, over 500 kilograms. That's a lot of weight. 500 kilograms of coal, or half a ton of coal, is a huge lift. No weightlifter would lift that. So that was a mighty lift, and yet that came down with a rocket that was blasting out of the bottom of it and keeping it up slowly, and no sign of any disturbance of the soil underneath it. And that's a very big question which never has been asked, which never has been answered. I'm not going to show you any photographs, you can look yourself, but if you look at all of the lunar landers on the Apollo program, you see no sign of disturbed soil. Now, so the Chinese sent up a rover called Change, or whatever way you pronounce it, and here are pictures of it, and I want to show you. The idea here is not for me to reiterate what someone else says, is to come up with something new. And here is the Chinese the Chinese photographs from that rover, which I believe are true. I don't think anyone doubts it. And you can see the colour here. See the colour there of that. Now you'll get it yourself there. I'm just trying to get it in here with a printer on the way. You can see the colour. That's actually taken from the Chinese lander of the rover as it moves out. and the colour there is a slight red. Now others are not quite so red. But here's another photograph of the actual lander taken from the Chinese rover, and if you look at this here, you'll see that the landscape is more like the Apollo, and you see a good decent reflection. In all of these you see the reflection of the sun. But what I want you to look at in this, and you'll get it there if you look at the Chinese, you'll get it there yourself. Look at the pads, look at the landing pads, right? See them there? I just can't see too well, but you'll see the idea. Look at the landing pads, right? They're there, right? Now, here's the thing. A lunar lander has, this is the scissors with just elastic bands here. You see that? A lunar lander, we just use this CD here like this. It has legs that go out like this when it lands. Look, it does this. See that? It does that. So if we take the laptop computer here, you'll see it again. Watch. See that? Get the idea? So as it plops down, these legs will expand like that. And if they do that, that makes a mark. And that's on the Chinese landing. Now I have here, excuse me, a book, and I have a bit of brown sugar on it. I'll spread it out a bit here. We see what happens here now. If I do this again here, this is spring loaded, just with elastic band. Look what happens. It pushes out the brown sugar. Sorry, and it scatters all over the place, of course. But you see it there. Look. It scatters out the brown sugar. See that? Pushes it out. See that? If that were sand, it'd do the same, right? So we get it again here like that. I think you get the general idea. I have it on an old magazine here. It's very hard to get this done, but you see the way it pushes out. That's, in my view, very, very important. Because what that means is that the Chinese rover, and if you look carefully at the legs, it done that. It done this. Right? Here's a white sheet of paper here. It done it here. Right, see that? When those landers landed down on the moon's surface, they immediately should have collapsed down like that, going out that way. And they should have pushed out the material and then came back. So they both push out and then they pull back in. See? The elastics after breaking. But you get the point. The Chinese rover did widen with the spring load and then like a spider, and then it came back. Left the mark on the moon. All the Apollo, none of them done that. There's no indication of that happened on the Apollo. And that's highly suspicious. That's highly suspicious. And that's something that was never noticed by anybody. And that's why I do these channels. I come up with something different. No one has noted that. They've noted the lack of the blast underneath, shoving out and making a crater. And that getting caught with the legs, and some of that should have fallen into the legs, into the pad of the legs. Some of the dust should have went back in, and there's none. They're clean. How could that be? That's almost impossible. But at the same time, that point I'm making is also very relevant. And with that now, I'm not going to say what happened. They either went or they didn't, or they went once or twice, or they done something. I'm just asking all these questions, and they should be answered. You make up your own mind, comment underneath, and no doubt some people get very high. How would the US government do this and tell lies? That's for them to answer. We've never went back, no one ever went back since, and as the years unfold, we'll find out whether they will or not. Folks, that's me finished with the moon thing, unless somebody comes up with some new thing or other. There's lots of other stuff there. There was a rock on the moon's with a letter C carved on it. Where did it come from? Was it a prop? And there's all these films. You can look at them yourself. I just want to add my little tuppence halfpenny to it. Folks, that's my story. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on what you think, and comment underneath, and we'll see you back for something else. Thank you.